Over 2.5 million Canadians eat at McDonald's every single day. That's more than the entire population of Manitoba alone. For many Canadian families, it's not a treat anymore. It's routine. Breakfast before work, lunch on the road, dinner when groceries feel unaffordable. McDonald's publishes nutrition information because they're legally required to, but there are critical differences they're not required to disclose, like why their Canadian menu has different ingredients than identical items in Europe, why certain additives banned in other countries are still in Canadian products, and why a Big Mac in Toronto contains ingredients that would be illegal in London. We also looked at how their pricing strategy during Canada's inflation crisis reveals exactly who they're targeting. What we found will shock you. We spent weeks comparing menus across countries, analyzing regulatory filings, tracking supply chain incidents. This investigation isn't about whether fast food is healthy. Canadians already know the answer to that. This is about standards, regulations, and why those standards stop where they do. Different countries, different standards, same company. And once you see the comparison, it's hard to unsee. Let's expose the truth. Here's something McDonald's Canada doesn't advertise. The same menu items, made with different ingredients, depending on which country you're in. Take Chicken McNuggets. In Canada, they contain dimethylpolisiloxane, an anti-foaming agent, TBHQ, tertiary butyl hydroquinone, as preservative and multiple sodium phosphates. In the UK, the list is rapeseed oil, wheat flour, spices. No TBHQ, no dimethylpolisiloxane. Why? Because the European Union banned or heavily restricted certain additives that Canada still permits. TBHQ is a petroleum-derived preservative. Dimethylpolisiloxane is the same silicone compound used in silly putty. Food grade, yes, but not required in European formulations. Now, all of these ingredients are legal in Canada, approved by Health Canada within regulated limits. But the question isn't whether they're legal. The question is, why does McDonald's remove them for European customers but not Canadian ones? The answer, they don't have to. That's right, Canada's food regulations are less strict than Europe's in key areas. And when corporations can save money by using cheaper synthetic preservatives, they do, unless the law stops them. In Europe, regulators apply the precautionary principle. They ask, is this ingredient necessary? In Canada, the question is different. Is this ingredient safe within defined limits? Both approaches are legal, both are scientific, but they lead to very different food systems. And Canadians, well, are eating the difference. But the ingredients are just the beginning, because what we found about the sodium levels is mind-blowing, and it affects millions of meals served in Canada every single day. A Big Mac in Canada contains approximately 970 milligrams of sodium. In the UK, around 900 milligrams. Not a massive difference. But wait, medium fries in Canada, 340 milligrams of sodium. In France, around 310 milligrams. Small differences, but repeated millions of times per day. Here's what we found. McDonald's adjusts recipes by market based on 3 factors. 1. Regulatory pressure. Europe has mandatory sodium reduction targets. 2. Consumer activism. The UK faced major public health campaigns demanding lower salt. 3. Competitive landscape. European fast food chains compete on health metrics. In Canada, there's been far less public pressure on fast food sodium compared to Europe, so the recipes haven't changed as much. But here's what they don't tell you. Sodium doesn't just affect taste, it affects shelf life, consistency, scalability. Higher sodium formulations are easier to mass produce, easier to ship across the country, easier to reheat consistently. That doesn't make them illegal, but it explains why reductions happen faster, where regulators demand them. Health Canada recommends no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day for adults. Here's the breakdown of one McDonald's meal. Big Mac, 970 milligrams. Medium fries, 340 milligrams. Medium Coke, 15 milligrams. Total, approximately 1,325 milligrams. That's 58% of your daily sodium limit in one sitting. And that guideline assumes occasional consumption, not routine dependence. Canadians eat fast food an average of 2 to 3 times per week. Math isn't our forte, but that sure doesn't sound healthy. But sodium is only part of the story, because McDonald's inflation strategy reveals who the value menu is really designed for. And it's not who you think. Canadian food inflation hit 11% in 2022. Grocery prices remain elevated. And McDonald's response? Aggressive value menu expansion. $1 to $3 items, combo bundles, app-exclusive deals. Sounds helpful, right? Here's what the data actually shows. We analyzed McDonald's Canada pricing from 2019 to 2024. What we found is disturbing. While value items got cheaper or stayed flat, standard menu items increased 15 to 20%. A Big Mac meal increased by 35%. A Quarter Pounder meal increased by 33%. Meanwhile, on the value menu, Junior Chicken, still around $2.99. McDouble, around $3.49. The pattern is clear. Families struggling with inflation are pushed toward higher volume, lower cost items. More processed, more sodium, less protein, smaller portions. A Big Mac has 25 grams of protein. A McDouble has 22 grams, but costs half as much. When grocery prices are up 30%, a $10 McDonald's meal for a family feels like relief. But you're trading long-term health costs for short-term savings. The cheapest calories win, every single time. But McDonald's knows exactly what they're doing, especially when it comes to marketing to children. And in Quebec, they found a legal loophole that's genuinely clever. And before we show you how they do it, subscribe and hit like. Because what we're about to reveal took weeks to uncover. Let's continue. This is where things get interesting. Quebec banned advertising to children under 13 in 1980, one of the strictest child advertising laws in North America. So how does McDonald's Canada market Happy Meals in Quebec? Outside Quebec, TV ads feature toys prominently displayed, playground scenes, cartoon characters, direct appeal to children. In Quebec, ads show marketing targeted to adults, emphasis on family meals, toys shown subtly, not prominently, no cartoon mascots. They comply with the letter of the law. But here's the loophole. Walk into a McDonald's in Montreal. The toys are still there. The displays are still bright and colorful. The Happy Meal experience is still designed for children. The law restricts advertising in media, not in-store marketing. McDonald's complies with Quebec's advertising ban while maintaining exactly the same business model inside the restaurant. And here's the kicker. McDonald's Canada spent an estimated $200+ million on advertising in 2023. A significant portion targets families with children, just not directly in Quebec media. They shifted the Quebec marketing budget to in-store experiences, national campaigns, and digital platforms with age-gated content. Same goal, different tactics, completely legal. But if you think that's concerning, wait until you see the supply chain. Because when McDonald's says 100% Canadian beef, that claim hides a disturbing reality about consolidation. McDonald's Canada claims 100% Canadian beef and 100% Canadian chicken. That's true. But Canadian doesn't mean what most people think. The reality, McDonald's Canada sources from a small number of mega suppliers. The beef, Cargill, Alberta facility, one of the largest in North America. The chicken, Maple Leaf Foods, Cargill. How about the produce? A few large distributors, massive consolidation. Now why this matters? When supply chains are this consolidated, single points of failure affect millions. Here are some real incidents you probably never heard about. In 2022, Maple Leaf Foods, a McDonald's supplier, recalled products due to potential listeria contamination. In 2012, XL Foods, Cargill-owned McDonald's beef supplier, massive E. coli recall, the largest on record in Canadian history. Over 1,800 beef products recalled, 18 people sickened, operations suspended for weeks. McDonald's wasn't always directly implicated in public recalls, but their suppliers were. And here's what most Canadians don't know. Large processing facilities are inspected regularly. But inspection reports aren't always public. Recalls can happen without major news coverage. And supply chain transparency is limited by proprietary business information. When one facility supplies millions of meals, a contamination event becomes a national crisis. And the Canadian public often finds out days or weeks late. But if you want deeper intel on Canada's meat industry, check out our Meat Expose video. What we discovered will genuinely shock you. McDonald's markets itself as affordable, but is it actually cheaper than cooking at home? We ran an experiment. A McDonald's family meal for 4 people is 2 Big Mac meals and 2 Happy Meals. That's approximately $45 to $50. Grocery store. Equivalent ground beef, $8. Buns, $3. Lettuce, tomatoes, onions, $6. Frozen fries, $4. Condiments, $2. Total, around $23, and you get 4 to 6 servings. Even accounting for time and convenience, home cooking is 50 to 60% cheaper. But here's the deeper issue. McDonald's isn't competing with home cooking anymore. With 2 million Canadians using food banks monthly in 2024, McDonald's is competing with food insecurity, time poverty from multiple jobs, and lack of access to cooking facilities. We mapped McDonald's locations against 3 data sets: median household income, food bank locations, public transit access. Here's the pattern we found. There's a higher density of McDonald's in lower-income neighborhoods, areas with limited grocery options, or communities with higher food insecurity rates. That's a proper targeted location strategy. This isn't speculation. This is standard commercial location modeling. Fast food chains maximize accessibility where alternatives are limited. But there's more McDonald's won't tell you, and it has to do with what's actually in the food. And loopholes are bigger than you think. McDonald's publishes nutrition information because they legally must. But here's what they don't have to disclose. 100% Canadian chicken could come from 1 facility or 20. No requirement to disclose farm conditions. Processing methods remain opaque. You know it's Canadian. You don't know where, how, or under what conditions. Number 2 is the natural flavors. This catch-all term can include dozens of chemical compounds. Health Canada allows it. McDonald's uses it. And guess what? Consumers never know exactly what it means. Some European countries require more specific flavor disclosures. Canada doesn't. Number 3, supply chain working conditions. Canada doesn't require fast food chains to disclose things like worker safety records at supplier facilities, labor practices and conditions, environmental impact of suppliers. Some European countries require supply chain transparency reports. Canada doesn't. So when you buy a Big Mac, you know the calories, you know the sodium, but you don't know where it came from, who processed it, or what natural flavors actually means. Here's what we haven't talked about yet. McDonald's isn't just a restaurant chain in Canada. In some communities, it's infrastructure. In remote areas, it's sometimes one of the few consistent food sources, or the major employer, especially for youth and newcomers. It's even used as a community gathering space. The complexity is that McDonald's provides 90,000 plus Canadian jobs. It's a predictable food access in food deserts, and it provides economic activity in small towns. But also, it normalizes ultra-processed food consumption, oftentimes outcompetes local restaurants. And sadly, it can shape dietary habits across generations. The data shows childhood obesity rates in Canada have tripled since 1980. And while fast food isn't the only factor, many critics argue it's a significant one. High-sodium meals consumed regularly during childhood creates taste preferences for salt, which normalizes processed food and can lead to higher risk of hypertension and metabolic disorders. This isn't just about one meal, it's about shaping food culture. So what did this investigation actually reveal? Number 1, regulatory gaps. Canada permits additives, Europe restricts. Less regulatory pressure for reformulation. Weaker supply chain transparency requirements. Number 2, strategic targeting. Value menus expand during inflation. Location strategy focuses on accessibility over affluence. Marketing adapts to provincial laws but maintains core goals. Number 3, supply chain consolidation. Few mega suppliers control massive volume. Single contamination events affect millions. Limited public oversight and delayed disclosures. Number 4, the trade-off. McDonald's provides jobs and food access in underserved areas, but at a measurable health cost that compounds over time. McDonald's Canada isn't hiding nutrition facts. They publish them because they're required to. They're operating within the law, but laws are written within the same regulatory environment they help shape. McDonald's Canada and Restaurants Canada, their industry group, are registered lobbyists with the federal government. They have input on things like food labeling standards, nutrition regulations, marketing restrictions, supply chain transparency requirements. In other words, they help write the rules. That's legal. That's normal in Canadian governance. But it means the rules are partially written by those they regulate. The question isn't whether McDonald's should exist. The question is whether Canadians deserve the same ingredient standards as Europeans, better supply chain transparency, stronger regulations on marketing to children, food policy that prioritizes health over corporate convenience. Those are policy questions, but they start with information, and now you have it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, because what Canadians don't know affects what Canadians eat, and that affects everything. Next, we're investigating Canada's egg industry, the supply management system, the price fixing, the contamination incidents you never heard about. And the next expose drops soon. Stay informed, stay aware, and make better choices. Thanks for watching.